Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome back. Jamie here today. I'm going to be talking about Saw 3, which was released in 2006, directed once again by Darren Balsman and written by Lee Wanell. And it was dedicated to Greg Kaufman, who unfortunately died a few years ago. And also there's a character named Hoffman, which we'll get into in a later video. But this is supposed to be the end of the trilogy. It was only supposed to be 3 films originally, but obviously it made a lot of success, made a lot of money inside the box office, so they carried it on the next year, which I'm thankful for. So was Quincy apparently. But it's definitely the most emotional of the series, and it's also the longest as well. It's nearly 2 hours. And speaking of that, there's 2 different versions. You got the theatrical cut and the director's cut, which what I was watching right here, even though it's only on DVD. No Blu-ray copy of this in the UK, so I had to stick with DVD for director's cut, but it's almost 2 hours long. The only difference is really there's more scenes inside the director's cut, which some are good, some are, but we'll get into it. Also, originally Dr. Gordon was supposed to be the main character from Saw 1, but he couldn't come to terms with Cary Elwes. I think it was like copyright or something. He had like a whole issue about rights and stuff. So instead it's Jeff, the character Jeff takes his place. I would have liked to seen that, but we'll get Gordon soon. So let's just jump right into it. It starts inside the bathroom from Saw 2. Eric's in there chained up and he's looking for a way to get out. Obviously he wants to get to his son Daniel. He gets the saw and he sees, the Gordon's foot's still there and he can't bring himself to cut his own foot off. So in a way I guess he's more smarter because he ends up breaking his own ankle so he can slide out, and it's brutal, man. He's hitting it with the toilet seat, the toilet lid, and he's breaking that bone and he snaps it and he slides it out, and that's how we start the film with the title sequence. And then straight from there we go into another aftermath of another trap. So it's just back to back, this film. The pacing's a little bit weird to be honest, but I'm all for it. So like I said, we're inside an aftermath of another trap. The door's welded shut, so the SWAT team have to actually come through the door. Kerry and Rig are there from the last film, and they've been looking for Eric. Eric's been missing for a few months now, and Kerry's really upset about it. She feels like it's her fault that he went missing. So then we go into the trap that happened before. We got Troy, who's chained up inside a classroom. Billy comes on the screen, of course, and he says you spent most of your life inside prison. Now you got unbind the chains basically, and it's brutal. There's one through his jaw, all through his arms, his legs and everything. The jaw one's the worst one, no doubt. And there's a bomb. He's got 2 minutes. If you don't, unchain himself, he's gonna blow up basically. And there's a little teddy bear next to the bomb, which will come into sort of play in the next film. This is the introduction to Mark Kaufman, who I was talking about before. He plays an important role later on inside the series, but right now you can tell he's a little bit suspicious. He picks up one of the chains and puts it inside his pocket. And there's a cool shot of Rig and Kerry talking, and the person doing this is still out there, and Hoffman's in the middle of them both just sat down, and a little bit of foreshadowing there, no doubt. Especially when you come back to the series and watch it back, you're like, yeah, I see what you're doing there. And then we get one of those sit transitions. We go from the trap, the camera pans down and pans up, and we're inside Kerry's house, and she's inside the bath. And the way they film this, the actor had to literally get changed straight away, run to the bath and jump into it all. Darren loves these transitions. They are good. We got them in Saw 2. We're gonna get some more in Saw 4 as well. I do like them. They are good. But yeah, Kerry's kidnapped inside a house. The pig comes out of a closet and kidnaps her, and she wakes up and she's chained up, and her ribs are all exposed. The angel trap, I think where it's called. And Billy comes on the screen and he says this is what I don't seem like. John hates this police force, he really does, because Kerry's here for doing a job. Yeah, sure, he says you're dead on the inside, but her job is literally to investigate deaths, and just because he's been investigating all your crimes or whatever, so she's basically in this for doing a job. But I understand what he's saying in a way. She doesn't take time for her family, she's dedicated on the job, but she wants to find Eric as well. But still, I don't agree with Kerry, but also, this trap, it's unwinnable. There's a key that's trapped inside acid, and she has to grab it before it melts. And, even that, and you can tell she's not getting out of there. Same as the last trap, she brought up Kerry herself. She's like, how are we supposed to escape this when the door's welded shut? And she eventually sees that someone's standing there watching her as she dies, and her ribs get ripped out. It's a brutal trap, this, no doubt, but still, it's Kerry, come on, she's only doing a job. Like I said, the pacing of this film, and this review is going to be a little bit long as well, but it's 3 traps back to back to back. We're introduced to Lynn, who's a doctor at the hospital. She's sat on a bed, who we think is her husband, and her husband's oh, what a divorce, and she has to go to the hospital, and we see her save a kid and stuff like that, but she's also taking pills. And she goes into the locker and she gets kidnapped as well. I'm trying to speed through this a little bit because there's a lot to get through. She gets kidnapped and she wakes up in the Gideon meat factory, and she's someone inside a hood's got her inside a wheelchair pushing her. That's eventually revealed to be Amanda, and John's on the bed as well, and John, he's got his cancer, he's almost dying. Lynn's basically there to try and save John's life. Like, she's got to perform an operation on him, but also Amanda puts this like shotgun collar on her neck. And if John's heartbeat stops, that's going to go off and she's going to get blown up as well. Well, John says he wants to play a game. Like I said, he explains the rules. She brings up Gordon. He's like, I was his patient and he was mine, in past tense. So, you know, we always get the little hints to Gordon, especially when these films were coming out. We would, like, you know, debating for years on House of Jigsaw. Like, when's Gordon coming back? When's he coming back? So she has to keep him alive until another person, Jeff, has finished their game as well. And she also goes out of range. It's going to explode. So, you know, there's a lot of different elements going on here, basically. She can't just run away. We're introduced to Jeff, who's inside a box. He's struggling with the loss of his son 3 years ago from a drunk driver, and he's also neglecting his daughter, who's, like, you know, actually alive. So his game's basically about forgiveness. He's going to come face to face with the people involved in it. John goes into a seizure, and this makes Amanda emotional because John's sort of like a father figure to her in a way. Like, you know, she's not really had that role model in her life, and John came along and tried helping her, and he needs the operation in his brain as well, which is going to be brutal. So we come to Jeff's first test. It's a woman inside a freezer who's chained up naked, and she witnessed the murder of his son, but she didn't say anything about it. Jeff basically has to get the key, what's sitting behind like these freezing hot pipes or whatever, and he's slow about it, but like the meme is like going, oh, slow ass Jeff, but it's, you know, he's not just going to literally just rush and forgive him straight away. It's going to take him time, especially what's been 3 years. It's not like he's been face to face with these people since the court trial or whatever. Like, I don't understand the meme. Like, if he was just dead fast about it, it won't be a film. Of course he's going to take his time. It's his son, you know, it's hard to get over. He's not just going to be like, oh yeah, I forgive you, I'm sorry, let's just instantly do it. It's going to take him some time. So I never understood that criticism, to be honest. It's way believable. It'd be less believable if he just walks into the room, here's the tape, he's like, okay, I forgive you, let me get this key straight away. That'd be less believable. Amanda reveals that she built the shotgun collar herself. She also says, like, you'd be surprised what tools can save a life, and she looks at the reverse bear trap, and we get our first flashback to Saw 1 when Amanda was inside the reverse bear trap. John's setting it up, Peyton Villa, and, you know, I love it. You know, some people might call it fan service, but it's Saw 3 at this point. Like, you're watching this because you're a fan. Some people might just watch it for the traps, but not me, man. The story is really good, and I love these flashbacks, I really do. John mentions that she has an envelope inside a desk, and this plays a big part inside the story, not just this film, but later on as well. And then Amanda's like, you chose Lynn because she's the best, right? And John's smiling, he's like, yeah, that's one reason why I chose. From there we go to the judge trap, and he's basically stuck inside this container where all these pigs are getting, like, all the guts are just getting thrown onto him. Jeff's got to burn his belongings of his son to get the key, and again, he's going to take his time because this is the judge, and he literally gave the guy who killed his son 6 months. Jeff's like, I've done more for a parking ticket. Like, 6 months for drink driving and hitting it. Like, come on, man, that's ridiculous, that. So of course he takes his time until eventually he ends up burning his possessions and getting the key, and he actually saves the judge. The judge gets out alive, even though he's full of shit, but, you know, he's still alive. Like I said, the meme of slow ass Jeff don't make sense. He's going to take his time. He's not just going to instantly burn his son's belongings. The brain surgery is graphic, like I said, man. I can't show any of it. Like, when I was a kid, it nearly made me sick when I first watched it. They're like cutting open his skull and all that. And this makes him sort of like go into his past, and we see the first image of Jill, his wife, and also watch his walking little Easter egg. We see Obi from Saw 2. There's quite a few characters sprinkled throughout this film and the series. Confused, he says, I love you to Lynn, but he's really remembering Jill, and Amanda sees this, and that just like makes her jealous, and she goes to her room by herself and she starts cutting herself. So it's revealed, like, you know, she's not really fixed from the game. She's still got her own personal issues going on. Like, she's not using drugs, but she's, you know, we'll get to it. Here's one of the best parts of the film. We get a flashback to the bathroom set up from Saw 1. Amanda was the one who kidnapped Adam inside his apartment, and she brings him in, and John's in there, you know, with the fake blood, putting the X on the wall. He injects himself with like a muscle relaxer so he can sit on the floor. She puts Adam inside the bath, and throws the key on him, which again, you know, that key just goes straight down the drain. Also, fun fact, this bathroom set is the same one from Scary Movie 4. They used the same set. So here's someone that's just with the director's cut. Amanda's feeling guilty of Adam, like, being down there alive, and she sees, like, you know, images of him upstairs like a ghost. So eventually she goes down and she's gonna mercy kill him, basically. She gets like wrapping and puts it around his head and tries suffocating him, but he hits his head on the toilet and he's bleeding out from it as well, but he does eventually die. Which, you know, was a theory for a while, like, what if someone switched out Adam's body inside the bathroom? But we see him die here. There's no way he's dead. He's definitely dead. And then we arrive at John's favorite trap. He calls it the rack, and Timothy's on there, the murderer of Jeff's son, and it's basically like a cross. Like, it's gonna keep twisting all his limbs about until Jeff gets the key, but the key's attached to a shotgun, so we have to take a bullet to save the man who killed his son. Eventually untwists the key and he's like, oh, I got the key, but it shoots the judge right inside the face, so he's dead. And at this point, Timothy's neck's just like completely twisted. So Jeff tries saving him and he's screaming like, oh, I forgive you, but it's too late. But still, like, he did try, obviously, like, no, not straight away, but he did eventually try. John asked Lynn about her husband and, like, you know, cheating and not paying attention to your kids and all that, which, you know, when you see the rest of the series, this sort of makes sense because John really, you know, cares about kids. He really does, because, well, yeah, we'll find out in the next film, basically. And you get the iconic line, he's like, suffering, you haven't seen anything yet. It's so good. Like, once every film, you're going to get at least one iconic line. Like, last one was, oh, yes, there will be blood. Suffering, you haven't seen anything yet. This is director's cut thing as well. Amanda and Lynn get into a fight, and this shaky cam's all over, man. It's worse than current WWE. It's just constantly like all over. I couldn't even barely tell what was going on. I'm glad they cut it out because we get another fight scene soon, and that one's much better. Amanda finally reads the letter, and this just completely sends her over the edge. She won't let Lynn go after John says let her go, and she starts getting emotional. John brings up Eric, and we actually see what happened from the beginning. Like, Eric's outside, you know, roaming about, and he eventually gets into a fight with Amanda, and this fight is brutal. He's like, where's my son? You can tell he's like, Daniel, I just want, you know, where's my son, you junkie bitch, slamming her head against the wall. He's like, where's my son? She's like, right fucking here. She kicks him right inside the ankle where, you know, the bone's been broke, and he goes down. Oh my god, it's crazy. And he, you know, she leaves him, she starts walking away, and he's screaming like, you're not Jigsaw, bitch. And that, you know, she stops and she starts walking back, and we cut away and we think that he's dead. Originally, Eric was supposed to die there, but he ended up changing it and brought him back for the next film, which I'm thankful for. But John's like, oh, you left him for dead, but I had to clean up your mess. And Amanda's claiming like it's all bullshit, no one's ever fixed. She's like, fix me, motherfucker, I'm standing right here. We hear Jeff starting to come in, and Lynn walks out, and Amanda just shoots Lynn straight through the stomach. And it's revealed Jeff and Lynn, that's husband and wife. There's one of the twists right there. Jeff comes in, shoots Amanda straight inside the neck. Now she's bleeding out on the floor. And John reveals it was all Amanda's game the entire time. He was testing her because she's been rigging the games throughout and, you know, killing people. Like, even Troy at the beginning, Kara, Adam, Eric Matthews. She's not fit. She's just been killing people the entire time. So this is her game. She's bleeding out, reaching out to John, and John's like, game over. Amanda's dead, and Jeff has to forgive John, and he gives the other line. He's like, live or die, make a hard choice. Because remember, Lynn is linked with John. If John's heartbeat stops, that shotgun call is going to go off. And Jeff's like, I forgive you, I forgive you. But then he gets this massive saw, and he slices John's neck. Now John's bleeding out. He clicks play on a tape, and as he dies, Lynn's collar goes off as well. So they're all dead. Like, talk about balls, man. Both Amanda and John are both dead. From there, we hear the tape, and it's revealed that Jeff's daughter has been kidnapped as well, and John was the only one who knew whereabouts she was. And if he wants her back, he has to play a game, and that's how we end. This has been a long review, just like this film's long as well, but I'm glad they kept the series going, even though they originally planned for this to be the end. I think, you know, the downfall is killing John. So Saw 3, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Like I said, good story and characters, and the traps are good as well. I wish John wasn't actually killed, because it sort of limits the series going forward, because, you know, all we get to see him now is flashbacks, but, you know, you got to give him some credit for killing off both main characters. I'm glad they continued the series. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure you like and subscribe, and next week we'll be talking about Saw 4. Until then, peace out in a bit.